Another exciting week of USFL actions in the books with a third one along the way, along with a fascinating first game back 40 years in the making in the Motor City for the Michigan Panthers, all with the Motor City Me Up in tow. This and much more on the latest USFL podcast, which starts right now.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome, everybody, into the episode 54 of the USFL podcast. Zach Heilman in here hosting for this week, alongside, of course, my good buddy, pal, friend, the man that is trying to sneak onto the field and change some calls for the Gamblers. It is the ref himself on the opposite side of the screen. My good friend, how you doing? 2 weeks in, third week is on the horizon. We're going to be meeting up sooner than we thought. In person once more. Life's pretty good. At least I think life's pretty good. I'm feeling great. How you feeling?
I'm sure life's pretty good as a good old Panthers fan over there, but reality's starting to set in for me and my Gamblers and we went from 12-0, then 11-0. We'll get to the picks a little bit later, so we're not going to talk about it right now, but let's just say I'm not feeling too hot to trot down here in H-Town.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. We do community power rankings. We put you and I our votes in along with guys from USFL Network, Ducky, Gridiron USFL, and a few others, USFL News. Gamblers moved themselves up at least.
Oh, yeah.
Out of all the 0-2 teams in the league, they certainly look like the best 0-2. So that is something you could still take home with you. I must add that.
We'll talk about it later with the recaps, but yeah, there's definitely I'm happy that I'm a Gamblers fan and not a fan of another team this week. We'll just leave it at that for now.
Oh, Nelly. We'll get into those recaps, talk about some previews, got a few news or bits, if you will. But of course, we got to go through some of the house and cleaning and work. One of them being the fact that I already said one of the things is that the Motor City Meetup is kicking off this week in Detroit. We have been hinting about it ever since spring stock, and we have gotten this thing ready to go. It's gotten some pretty good hype from folks around the league too, by the way. Thank you, Reggie Corbin. Thank you, Darius Victor, and many others for sharing of the information. Yes, from 1 o'clock Eastern to 3 o'clock Eastern in Detroit, downtown, just southwest of Tiger Stadium. We are going to Brass Rail Pizza Bar to meet up with fans of the show and friends alike for a nice pregame tailgate dining experience, if you will. Just a good time.
Oh, yeah.
We're just going for a good time. 2 hours of some good food, good fun, and good people to hang out with before we head on over to go and root for the Michigan Panthers to go and defeat the New Jersey Generals. Hey, if you want to stop in while you watch the Philadelphia Stars game too, not too shabby. We're going to be there the whole time, so no worries. But all of us are heading straight over after this to go and rally the troops to go meet up for what should be, and they've been pumping this, an epic crowd in Ford Field. They opened the end zones, which was not on the original ticket map. They opened the end zones. That's how much the demand's going there in Ford Field. I don't know what the projections are for this one, but I'm getting vibes that it might push or beat what Memphis had week 1. That's the type of feeling is going around right now in Detroit, that they're going to be rocking Ford Field across the street. That's where the Tigers game in town the same day. They're going to be packing this stadium out.
Nothing against the Tigers, but nowadays, I don't know if that's saying much. I was joking, and I might not be joking. I literally might go see an inning of that game while we're in town, because I'll be honest, I don't know the next time I'm going to be in Detroit. Probably not for a while, unless there's some big game up there that I have to see. And so I might go over there for an inning. You know why, Zach? Because I have a hunch that I can go and get a ticket for like $5. I bet you wait till after they sing the national anthem, maybe even after somebody hits a couple balls, and then you walk up to the scalper. That dude is going to be, he's going to be begging you to get that ticket off his hand. I could pull out some lint, a button, and some change, and he'd say, well, it's better than the nothing that I'm going to get for this ticket. Go have fun, kid. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to go watch maybe an inning in between, somewhere in there. I'm right there. We're in the trifecta because we have Ford Field, Comerica Park, and then the Brass Rail Pizza Bar for the Motor City flipping meetup.
Oh,
Ooh,
yes.
I am ready, dude.
I'm just stoked for some good food, good times. Grandma Kyleman's going to be there.
Grandma flipping Kyleman, man. I'm hyped.
Hey, we don't joke about Grandma Kyleman on this show. She's going to show up, and she's going to show up proud as a Panthers fan. We've already been talking about that, so I can't wait to get her to go to the game and meet up, of course, for some good food, too, beforehand. But, yeah, I mean, it's a great sports weekend all around, of course, in Detroit. And, again, you got 2 USFL games. You buy that ticket, you get 2 of them. Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind. You get to go see the Stars also play their own contest.
But there is no re-entry. That is something key to bring up. So, yes, you can, but there is no re-entry. So, if you leave to go see an inning of the Tigers game, you will need to buy another ticket. So let me just throw that one out there, in all fairness.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Different facet from last year where it was kind of the ease of access. But remember, different year, bringing more of the traditional stadium stuff. But nonetheless, you do want to go in for 2 games. You just want to chill out in Ford Field. Hey, be my guest. You're gonna have plenty of good times and plenty of great football being played as well. But yes, 1:00 Eastern time down at Brass Rail Pizza Bar in downtown Detroit, Michigan. You're going to want to stop by and have some good food, good times, and good fun before we go watch the Panthers, in my opinion, beat the New Jersey Generals in front of a massive crowd. Going to be a great time. Also, social media plugs while we're at it. Hey, if you haven't followed us on social, where the hell are you doing, man? Go over there at USFL Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We do slowly get out on TikTok, but we do have videos. Check out our TikToks as you please. But yes, check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram too. Also, subscribe to the channel. If you are a new subscriber, if you just discovered this podcast, what are you waiting for? Slap that big red button down below and then click the bell because, as we like to say, it builds morale, not only for you, but for us too. We feel great when we get some new folks to chat USFL football with on this page. Also, you want some gear? You go into that Michigan Panthers game. You go into a different game somewhere, Memphis, Birmingham. Hey, I got a great place for you, breakingtea.com. We got a 10% discount code for you not at USFL Newsroom. Use code USFL Newsroom on your checkout. 10% goes off your purchase, and it helps our show as well. But speaking of which, Breaking Tea, if you're going to the Panthers game, they just released a Reggie Corbin t-shirt, by the way. Really fancy stuff. Corbin's one of the popular guys right now in the league for more than just his excellent running ability. It's one of the quotes that we'll kind of have a good laugh at in a second. And by the way, if you do subscribe to the channel, still going towards that 5K jersey giveaway. You get to 5K. We have a custom jersey just for you that we're going to be giving away. And stay tuned to the end of the show. We're giving away that t-shirt today. Remember, we said we were going to do it. We got those comments. I ain't forgetting this time. Well, we got those comments. Got plenty more, by the way, because we did this. Mm-hmm. That drawing is going to come at the end of the show. So stay tuned. You want to watch the rest of the way if you're going to. And, of course, stay with our takes. Why not? I mean, let's do this.
I mean, guys. Yeah, that's the fun part is the conversation and the friends we make along the way. If that makes any sense. Anyway, Zach, kick off the show.
I hope it does. All right, back to the past we go as we have a few memories to dig up. Sadly, his memories are not as good. Mine are going to be great for this past weekend. But week 2 of the USFL, some great games, some that I think were quite decisive victories. To
say the least, yeah.
Let's put one of them very lightly. If you are a Memphinian, I am sorry. At least you got the Grizzlies right now that are still keeping pace with their series, but you definitely want to rub away your memories of week 2. We'll touch on that in a moment. I do have to get this painful memory off of the ref's chest as we're going to go from the beginning to the end of the weekend. Houston Gamblers take a hard-fought loss, very hard-fought, good game to kick things off, by the way. 38-31 to New Orleans Breakers. Just a few too many turnovers. We'll touch on that in a second. Memphis Showboats, I don't know what was going on. 42-2, Mr. Magoo was slinging it all day. They could have no answer for him or Chase Sternberger or really Zaquandre White. A few unique stars from this one that came out for the Stallions, and a very interesting and I would say awkward moment at the end of this contest between Coach Haley and Coach Holtz. we'll also touch on that too. Generals take a slugfest against the Maulers 20-3. Ugly game until about the fourth quarter when New Jersey finally got the wheels under them and just ran away with this one at the end. And the Panthers come out clutch 24-10. This was one that we were wondering, will the Panthers come and answer the bell? Will they show where they're at in the North? And sure enough, they did. And it all came because of Breland Speaks, who is now like the prime USFL defensive player right now. Dude has been making a presence of himself in these last 2 weeks. Stefan, overall thoughts on week 2 before we kind of just do some quick notes on each game.
I mean, it was a fun week. The second game, like you mentioned, the blowout, that one was a little tough. I mean, after so many points, and it gets a little rough to watch. But the rest of the games, I would say, were fun. They were competitive. A little bit slow start with that Generals Maulers game, but I can excuse it. All around, I had a good time. Wasn't mad.
No, not at all. I had some great times. I love the Houston-New Orleans game. And I'm talking for competition.
Sure.
I feel bad for you, because of just how it ended. But
it is what it is. I'm used to it now, yeah. Zach. I just have a dark cloud that floats over me when it comes to football. I'm a Lions fan. I'm used to beaten down, broken down, bloodied, beaten up, battered, bruised, hurting the feelings. Well, the Gamblers, man, they really know how to kick me while I'm down as well. But I'll tell you this. We weren't the worst team of the week. We're not the worst team in the league, and we're not the worst team in the South. We came close to winning this game. It came down to the last minute. That's not saying a lot considering last year, we didn't have the lead going in the half, so I guess maybe there's that. We were tied. And so that's why I said, a little bit of hope. But I do, as much as I joke around 12-0, 11-0 all in, I mean, I don't know, man, 10-0 all in, baby, because this week, I think we have it this week. We'll get to the picks and the predictions and the future recap, but I will say this right now. Kenji Bihar playing like a superstar. We had Isaiah Zuber coming back to the team. Right. So he'll be back probably, I would assume, this weekend coming up.
Yeah. If not, Mark Thompson's also activated this week too. That was someone that wasn't in the last two.
So we're starting to get the pieces back together. They're playing like a team. I think that, the turnovers, Zach, that's the big thing. You mentioned it. If we can stop the turnovers, we can win the game. We're just having, I don't even want to say one too many. It's like 3 or 4 too many. And I mean, that's too many as it stands, but a promising game, a fun game to watch, at least if it's down to the last minute or the last couple drives. Hey, to me, it was worth it. The Breakers, I think MBT, McLeod Bethel Thompson, once again proving the dude is here to make to make a game out of it. We saw him do another flip kind of move for that first down. The dude loves getting those theatrical first downs in the league. You
wouldn't know he's 34 in this league. He is taking some risks, but I think he's having fun with it anyway. That's just what I'm looking at right now.
100%.
Having some good times. I'll tell you what, you aren't kidding about the Gamblers. I was really impressed by Houston, actually. I mean, blown away. Week over week, improvements for Curtis Johnson's squad. Incredible. It's just, it really burns when you're up by 7 and you have a 14-point swing thanks to really just turnovers. Yep. That's the thing. It just cannot, I would say, settle down when it mattered most. As we talk about, with the naming of the team, we talk about Gamblers. It's just the funny thing. Kenny Rogers, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. And some of those throws, just not smooth decisions by Kenji. Kenji this year, though, in terms of week 1, performance is already up much better. I think him and Justin Hall have found a great chemistry this week, and they need to keep using him. Hall was excellent at Ball State. I would know. I watched the Ball State games with him. That is where I went to school. He is definitely that guy, and he's definitely the number 1 option right now on this roster. Keep throwing to him. He's going to provide you opportunities. And Kenji's just got to keep getting comfortable, keep slowing things down, because that is a solid roster now. They have offensively, they kept up with New Orleans pretty well. And that's a defense that retained most of its star talent and was an imposing force last year. In fact, they threw 31 up on them. That has to say something, because as you talked about, the rest of the South, at least besides New Orleans and Birmingham, I mean, they're not the worst team in the South, and they're not the worst team in the league right now. They just have to clarify a few things. They can get some games. They can be scrappy.
Plenty of time left in this season, right? Well, I don't want to say plenty of time, but there's time. There's time left in this season to inch out one of those second Southern spots. I mean, let's just look at the next game. Let's do a shift over here because boy, oh boy, was there ever a game that you didn't want in prime time?
No.
And this is it right here. And we talked about it last week, you know, the Showboats, they kind of tried to make a comeback against the Stars. The Stars pulled it out. And then we started to ponder, well, the Stars really, you know, good, or the Memphis Showboats maybe not so great. And, you know, I have a couple gripes with Coach Haley. He had a couple gripes with Coach Holtz at the end of the game. Understandably, I'm going to be quite honest with you. When he actually went for the touchdown, I was like, this dude, it reminded me of playing Madden 95. Like, because if you would run up points on a team, especially in the fourth quarter, they'd have a line from John Madden that said something along the lines of, oh, that, you know, coaches don't like when you do that. They're going to remember this the next time you play. And it was like being a kid in my room again. When he did that, I was like, oh, Coach Holtz, other coaches don't like when you do that. You know, they're going to remember. And then at the game, Haley comes out and says, we're not going to forget that. I mean, but man, I don't know if I've ever seen a game where one team's entire offense was a safety. And I'm a Lions fan, bro. There's some changes that need to be had. I think they need to maybe, I might be crazy, Zach, maybe just give, it doesn't even have to be Ryan Willis, give another quarterback the starting position for a minimum the first half of the game. Just see. See what happens. And this is nothing against Brady White. But, you know, different offenses and defenses play well. You know, there's different types of matchups. And let's be honest, Brady White, a little bit younger. I think Ryan Willis has maybe a little bit more experience. I mean, he MVP of the spring league, but he did spend time with your Bears, Zach, right? He had some, whether it's practice squad or not, NFL experience. And I mean, and it's not just the quarterback spot. They need to do some adjustments there. I mean, 42-2, Zach. And I nothing against the Stallions, but we're talking about a Stallions team that was like beaten down, broken up, and battered with injuries, right?
Right. I mean, they lost. I mean, Jamar getting exchanged for Magoo. You know, we saw what Magoo's capable of, I think, when healthy at times last year. And he's gone even farther than that. That's what's nuts. It is fascinating to see Alex Magoo fully healthy and now like even scarier than what he was. I mean, look, we're talking like the prime of what you expect a actual mobile running QB threat is. You know, if he gets out of the pocket, dude, what do you expect? Is he gonna run? Is he gonna throw it? You know, the worst nightmare of a defensive coordinator is someone that is that mobile and can burn you in that many ways. You know, but the fact that he stepped up, you know, Bo Scarborough's down. Don't worry, Zaquandre White's here, and he's even better.
Dude, it's crazy.
You know, need another receiving threat. Marlon Williams ain't down. Don't worry. Jay Sternberger continues the trend, and this is weird in 2 weeks. The USFL in terms of tight ends. Tight ends are just becoming the normal passing commodity. Sternberger, Sage Surratt leads the league in receiving
which I got
yards.
him on my fantasy team. Sign me up.
No kidding. Also weird that he's a former Stallion.
Right.
Breakers. But like, that's another guy stepping up there. Defensively, you know, Scooby wasn't there, but it didn't matter. They got pressure whenever they pleased on Memphis. And I think that's something that Memphis, that's the more worrying point to me in Memphis, is that you couldn't protect either quarterback option on Saturday. Brady White was pressured and looked frazzled from that. You know, some things just weren't being delivered on time because he just wanted the ball out of there. You know, and then we brought in Ryan Willis because, okay, we'll try another QB, and I agreed with it. That was something we were talking about in our Discord, was in the PFN Discord. By the way, check that out in the description. Is that, you know, we're like, okay, let's flip this out. You know, we at least give someone else a try. Not saying it's White's fault, but this game's getting out of hand. You got to try something else. And it didn't matter. Ryan Willis got an edge rush blitz off the opposite side and got creamed. It comes down to the principles on how they're protecting the QB and what they're running. I think a lot of it's going to need to come down to quick time plays, kind of like college first route read plays. You can't sit back there. And I think that's what hurt Todd Haley last year with Jordan Ta'amu, because I know we don't talk as much and bring as much, of course, the XFL stuff in, but I'll be honest, we follow it. Look at the XFL. Look at DC. You know what DC does well with Jordan? They get the ball out fast. They do quick reads. They don't mess around, and it's effective.
Right.
Todd Haley likes to wait around and make QBs read multiple options. And sure, if you got a good QB, like say if you had MBT, I bet his offense works decently enough, and I think it works fine. I don't think it works with either of these quarterbacks because their line's not good enough, and neither of these QBs I think are good enough to process quickly the passes as needed.
Sure.
And maybe that's more, and maybe that was telling more this week than last because it seemed like they were able to keep up with Philly. We learned a bit about Philly, I think, past week 2 against Michigan, but that's telling to me. So Memphis has a lot of questions coming in against Houston with offensive line play and an identity and having something that QBs can get down and digest properly. Now, something fascinating too, to your point, Ryan Willis, he's inactive this week. Cole Kelly got promoted once again to the active roster. So it's going to possibly be the Kelly show if things do go south. Otherwise, looks like Brady White's going to be jumping back in at the starting spot once again. But they have questions, and you know what? Haley might have some words for Skip, but I mean, Todd, there's a lot of things you can't. I mean, you got to throw the whole film away last week. You know, it doesn't matter if Skip ran up the score. Skip proved why they're the best team right now in the league. They just flat out creamed you on national television.
Oh yeah. It was. I mean, it was a sad day to be a Showboats fan. I mean, we saw it online. There's a couple guys, their pride was hurt. And you know what? I'm with you guys. Look, we're both 0-2, but this is what, and we still have another game to talk about. But I mean, that's what I love about, we're week 3. We already have 2 little mini storylines, 2 undefeated teams, 2 unwinning teams. Only one can move on later in the week. We'll get to that. But then day two started out a little bit slow. We had the Generals and the Maulers. Once again, you know, shame on me, Zach. Shame on me.
Shame on you.
I thought the Maulers were going to have a little bit more oomph than they're putting off so far.
Man.
I just thought just a little bit more oomph. Again, defensively, they're doing fine. On the offense, though, there's just something. It's just not clicking yet. Now, again, I still think there's time to right the ship. I think they have a good basis in place, but let's look at the line here. Generals 20, Maulers 3. Now, again, it was a slow game to start for both. To be fair, it was 3 and 3 for quite a bit, but it was at the end. Generals picked things up. Their defense, I made a couple moves for them to kind of shifted the tide. But at the end of the day, you know, Maulers or Generals, I think we saw a little bit out of them last year where it was like this, where, you know, they lost that first game. They went on to win the rest of the season. Not every game was a convincing win. But when you look at the end score here, 20-3, oh, you know, that seems like a pretty convincing win. Even though when watching the game, maybe not so much.
Yeah, I mean, the Generals, I still don't fully agree with the 2 QB system. It works here because Pittsburgh has a lot more questions, I think, offensively, even more so. And both of them flip QBs. However, Mike Riley definitely is doing this on purpose. This is not a accidental thing. At this point, it's purposeful. And Pittsburgh was hinting at it last week, but now I think it's almost just see which works better because James Morgan and Troy Williams both had their days. Morgan actually had worse, and this is 2 weeks in a row where I would say he has not been the premier QB to where I think you actually should roll with Troy Williams this week and go with him. Not only because of that, but also, much like Memphis, Pittsburgh's O-line has not held up its end of the bargain. And it has made life a living hell for that offense to function. New Jersey was able to get pressures to and fro. They were winning the line of scrimmage battle most of the day in terms of the run game. And if you have no facet of your offense that can get things progressing, get some sort of movement, you're stuck in the mud. And Pittsburgh has a lot of things, I think, that start at the front 5 that is holding them back. Remember last year, one of their bread and butter things that at least they did decently was the run game. They have not been a good running team this year. And that's with Madre London still in the squad, with Garrett Groshek still in this squad. They have not been able to generate what they need to. And it's really hurting anything that they can do in the passing game, because you get in third and long situations, and the Generals, as they've been in since last year, they're just going to blitz you. Right. They'll just pressure you up front and just make you flustered, and that goes to the tune of 3 turnovers. Horrible interception from James Morgan late in the contest that helped seal the deal essentially, or make things worse. 2 costly fumbles. Those are mental errors and also execution errors. You got to clean that up. Pittsburgh has not done enough to get things turned over. And, some of that comes on, I think, to some decisions with, personnel groupings. But I think John Tomlinson being the play caller this year, he's got to find something to make this easier for that team, for that side. Ray Horton and Jaron Horton's unit, the defense, it's holding its end of the bargain. It is doing the best it can to keep games in play, but you got to do something on the opposite side. You're going to keep going the same direction as last season if you can't find some way to get these players involved. There's good receivers here. Like I said, Isaiah Henney, he's becoming more the primary weapon. Right. You still have Bailey Gaither and Trey Walker. These guys should be catching passes, but they can't get these guys open or have enough time to get Troy Williams or James Morgan to get in a rhythm. And that's going to cost them game after game, and it's not going to get easier at all. I mean, this week, for example, they're, just looking at this once again, they're playing Philadelphia, which, sure, they have some run questions, and maybe that's where you start this week, but they are great at doing pass rush. Right. Adam Rodriguez will make either QB's life a living hell. Right. You have, and with Case Cookus 2 weeks in a row, they're not going to let the same thing happen as last week with Michigan. They're going to generate offense on Pittsburgh. Right. So short week. It's going to be a hard one. Oh, yeah. But, New Jersey, it is what it is with the QB situation. I think that I've thrown my hands up and I have dusted them away. I don't like it, but that's what he wants to do. I had a viewer of the show say, and again, I'm bringing this for comparison because they did this, so keep in mind. They said, well, in the XFL, Jordan Ta'amu and Derek King are a 2 QB system. Pause. Here's the difference here. New Jersey actually splits these plays 50-50. There's no gadgeting of these plays. They play these 2 QBs the same either down. In DC, King is a gadget player. He is used for specific scenarios for the run and to trick people into thinking they're going to run for passes. Sure. It's not a 50-50 game. There's complete differences in this. It's why I don't like the general sub, because I'd rather you just pick one. Right. Which, again, it's even more muddy because I thought both QBs had an average day. And I think that's because neither can get in rhythm because they aren't just sticking with one. It to me is counterintuitive. They have a great run offense, but imagine what they could do if they just pick one of these guys.
Sure. Now, I can't be mad at Riley, though, because, again, it did seem to work well for him last year. He was trading his quarterbacks last year. I mean, DeAndre Johnson, I would say, felt more like the QB1 by midseason, but still we saw play from both, just whether it was injuries or whatever it may be. So I could see why he would go into this season saying, hey, this is my thing. I'm going to keep utilizing this. And I mean, Riley, he's the kind of guy, you can see it. Like, one of the reasons he's coaching is to spotlight these guys. And so in his mind, he wants to give everybody the time on the field. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to win every game, get into the playoffs, get to the championship, let's remember they didn't do that last year. It might be wise to have that QB1 secondary QB system running.
And it's a tougher North this year. Michigan is legit. You have now 3 teams, at least to me now you have a 3-team battle, very much so vying for 2 spots. Right. You can't fool around as much to me with this because at least Michigan and Philadelphia, they know who their QBs are. They're sticking with these guys. Yep. They know what they're going to get. And Michigan did it week 1. And that's it. They did nothing of the sort in their game, which we'll touch on right now, is that they stuck with Josh Love. Yep. Now, credit, 2 interceptions. One of those was on a receiver tripping. So I don't count those. That comes down to weather and some field conditions. The other was a bad pass. But still, Josh Love, he looked like the guy, consistently delivered. Probably would have more yards if Joe Walker didn't have such a terrible day for the most part at receiver. And their run game, you can argue is the best in the league, and it actually has it has a running back that's tied for the tops in the league standings for individual yardage with Darius Victor, and that's Reggie Corbin, who had the best mic'd up moment of the week, basically saying, "Give me the ball, I'm gonna kill him."
Yep,
and he killed him.
Oh yeah,
he ended the day for Philadelphia, which, funny enough, same problem that carried over for the Stars last year that's plaguing them this year. They don't know how to stop the run. It was their Achilles heel last season. It has continued to be their Achilles heel this year as well.
You know what else they don't know how to do? Protect their quarterback. That's one thing.
That's another one.
Why did they I know Case Cook is, you know what? I can't even be mad at him because Case, he was broken down, limping. Keep me in the game. Keep me in the game. Everyone in the Discord was like, get him out of the game. What does Case Cookis do? I mean, he starts cooking it up, and he drops a bomb down the field, gets him right to the goal line, and then they score. I can't. Oh my God! Because I was like, get him out of there. It's near the game's almost over. Save him. Save Case Cookis. He's a gem. But you know what? They proved me wrong. He went out there and made it happen. You know what? Sign him up.
But then you got Breland Speaks, by the way, 4 sacks already through the season. Dude is becoming a defensive star. Love the pop-up collar. Looks old school as hell. Yeah. It looks awesome. But freaking dude ends the game by essentially RKOing him and causing a fumble.
Right.
But that's the type of plays. And again, they did this all day. I'm with you. If you're a Philadelphia fan, and if you're especially Bart Andrews, you're like, Jesus, man, we're getting this guy cream. This is the same thing. It's like rinse and repeat. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing that happened last year. When he's on and he gets just enough time, Philadelphia, they'll rip you apart.
Oh, yeah.
But if you get a defense that's good enough to get in and make his life living hell and beat him up, man, I don't know. Philadelphia is going to be, it feels like almost like this hot cold team again, like they were most of the year, finishing 6-4. Some games they just can't get enough protection to where they fluster at the end. Mm-hmm. Others, they'll be on fire.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Philadelphia is going to be. It'll make things fascinating for the playoff race, though.
Oh, yeah.
With New Jersey being the way they are currently. And I mean, if Michigan's the way they are right now, they're looking pretty good right now in the driver's seat to start week 3 at the top of the North.
100%. I mean, I'm happy for you, but even more importantly, this is something we talked about before the season. If anything, I'm very happy that the Michigan Panthers are undefeated going into this first game at Ford Field.
Yes,
right?
They are.
Like, that is the perfect situation. That's what you want. If you are either a Panthers fan, somebody that works for the USFL, you want that big market to have that good team going into week 3. Because the other markets, they got their games early on. Memphis, week 1. Birmingham, week 1. If you want to say either New Jersey or Pittsburgh, they were there in week 2 in Canton.
Mm-hmm.
But realistically, this is the last big hub yet to play a game. And it would be a shame if they were going into this game 0-2. But nope, they're going in 2-0. What kind of what?
Brett Zaleski has to have the biggest smile on his face, knowing that. Like, after, look, you don't, as a league official, you aren't rooting for a team to win. But look, if I were to assume as someone selling tickets, and I'm like, 2-0 team, new market, it's one that had a lot of nostalgia in the this will be great. And it's like I said, everything we keep hearing out of Detroit is that this is going to be like a massive game. Like, it's going to fill in that lower bowl so nice.
I'll tell you, I was on the fence because spring stock cost a lot of money. Right, Zach? You know it as well as I do. That's why I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to make the Motor City meetup. You were thinking the same thing because you had just moved. But it was talking to Brett Zaleski at that Birmingham Stallions meetup prior to the opening day. And he said, no, dude, you got to be in Detroit. It's going to be wild. And I said, well, now I got to go to Detroit. I just have to go to Detroit. I have to go and see this game in person. I mean, dude, Zach, it has been, I'm trying to think of the last time I've been in Ford Field, and it easily 2005 or earlier.
Oh, it's been that long.
Yeah, I've moved out of Detroit into the first day of January 1st, 2008. That's when I moved. I've gone back to Michigan, but I haven't gone to like a concert or a baseball game. I went to a baseball game. I take that back, but I haven't gone to any football games or Pistons games, unfortunately. So yeah, easily. The last time I was at Ford Field was WrestleMania 23.
Oh, so that's
okay. And we're at WrestleMania 40s coming up next year, so 17 years, something like that. It's been a while.
So,
almost a full adult.
Minute.
Yeah, it's been a while. So I'm excited for that. I want the people of Detroit to show up. And if you're going out to the game, again, Motor City Meetup, Brass Rail Pizza Bar, right? Is that what it's called? I always call it the Brass Iron Inn or something. I don't know. Don't listen to me if I call it that, guys. Brass Rail Pizza Bar. Okay. It's going to be good. And I'll probably be there early at like 11. It starts at 1. But either way, I'm looking forward to it. I love the games this week. Like I said, that Showboats one, oof, that was a little rough. Still enough time to turn things around in the season. Your Panthers are looking pretty good. You want to run into some previews? We could talk about picks.
Well, yeah. I mean, I do want to. I was going to say we'll run into some previews. I will highlight one other thing though in terms of news for the week. So,
right, yeah,
because it was brought up. It's about the Ford game. I mean, basically most of this week is about pumping up the home opener for the Panthers.
Right.
And well, as you'll tell us here, Ref, got some new medical news.
Oh yeah. Henry Ford Hospital, which is a big deal out there in Michigan. I don't know. It's, I grew up with it in Michigan. Then you move from Michigan, you don't really see them everywhere. But yeah, Henry Ford, the motor company, they got a hospital situation. They're the official providers for the Panthers. And we saw this last year with Birmingham, which this is why I love doing this show, Zach. You learn things that you probably would have never known. And I learned as well as you did, I think, that Birmingham is actually well known for their medical facilities. And so they ended up having a partnership because all 8 teams were there. Well, now, Michigan's got their hub. What do they need? Medical, flipping attention. And you know what they got, Zach? The best. They got the best. If you're going to the Henry Ford Medical Center, getting their treatment, it is the best. So sign them up. And it only makes sense, too. They're in Ford Field. Now they're getting the Ford medical support as well. It can only be a good thing. And that, I don't know, Zach, there's really not much to talk about it other than player safety, man. It's first front. They could have gone with anybody, but they're getting the biggest and the best,
Essentially so. Yeah, I mean, I think it ingrains more into the community as well. Like I said, UAB being last year at Birmingham, this year, of course, got Henry Ford, which I mean, Henry Ford's presence, in terms of that family, in terms of the business that he started, it is everywhere. Obviously, the Motor City, I mean, that explains itself. But I mean, Henry Ford also was more than just the motor company. It was everything else. You have the museum, you have the hospital, you have many other mainstays and staples to what left his stamp on that city. So it makes sense to just kind of collaborate. The Lions.
One day, Zach, we're gonna have to go to Detroit with more time because there's so much to do. You mentioned the Henry Ford Museum. I could do that a million times.
I went to that for the first time last year. That is a great place to go.
Dude,
like
so
awesome. Much. If you're a technology head, like you just love like old tech, old mechanical engineering, like it's the perfect spot. Mm-hmm. It is the perfect place to go and just chill out and just see some of the modern marvels of history.
Right on.
And such a collection too.
100%. And you know what else you can tour while you're out there? The Henry Ford Mansion.
I heard about this. I have not gone.
It's amazing. So they used to hold. My dad's a car guy. Makes sense. We grew up, we're from Detroit. So my whole family's car people. My whole family worked at Chrysler. My great-grandpa, my grandpa, my dad, my uncle. I'm the first one. I said, screw you, Chrysler. Getting us out of here. But they all work for Chrysler. But they used to hold, it's funny enough, we used to go to the Henry Ford Mansion, but they used to hold a couple things there. I think they held the Scottish Games there where they would do like the telephone pole flipping. And then they had a couple different car shows that they would host there, as well as Cranbrook. So all you Michigan people know what I'm talking about, but I bring it up because one day we're going to have to do both of thwe're going to need a week because I'm going to show you the whole state of Michigan. I can't tell if it's right or wrong. I have to do. Oh no, it's this hand for this direction.
Well,
So
show me some different parts. Now, I'll say that this is a total anecdote, but why not? Because we're going to Michigan this week, and both of us have different connections. I have an aunt and uncle. They live in Detroit.
Yeah.
My uncle grew up in no joke, South Detroit, and then met my aunt in college, and rest is history up with the family. My grandmother moved up there too, just a few years back. They have connections up there. I've been to Detroit. I've been to Grand Rapids. My mom's side used to own a cottage in White Pigeon, Michigan, right across the state line in Michiana, like just that section of there. I have a lot of Southern-esque Michigan memories between basically the entire border along there. Northern Michigan, complete different story. I was supposed to go to Mackinac Island a few years back. Let's just say the disease, not to be mentioned on here, affected things, and I was very upset because it wasn't that problem. It was my employer's problem
right.
at the time. So that's where I want to go. Traverse City, Mackinac Island.
Cherry Festival, Zach. That's what you need to do. You need to just go to Traverse City for the Cherry Festival. At least I was up there. I don't know what the hell. I had some kind of traveling job at the time. I don't even know what wonky stuff I was doing back then, but I was out there, and it just so happened to be the Cherry Festival. And yeah, man, I had a blast out in Traverse City. Mackinac Island, I mean, it's nice. It's quiet, but other than fudge, it's a long drive and for a little bit of I don't know, whatever. You'll love it. I'm sure you will. I don't really care about Mac.
I just want taffy, okay?
But
I just want the taffy.
Dude, Holly,
and the
Michigan?
carriage ride around the island.
Well,
that too.
You ever been to Holly, Michigan, where they have the
Oh, that's right. I should have mentioned Holland.
Clompy feet in the windmills.
Yes. Holland, Frankenmuth.
Love
Frankenmuth as well.
I'm telling you, if I could find time to go to Frankenmuth while I was out there, I would. I have a damn hotel credit there, so I could if I wanted to. I just have no time.
I need a second visit to the world's largest Christmas store. That's the one thing I gotta go back.
Bronner's, man, sign me up.
Bronner's,
dude. So somehow
could go all day.
I don't know where you stay. Like, are you staying? You're staying in like Novi, right?
Yeah, that's basically where I'm gonna be at.
All
Novi.
Right. I need to look something up. So have you ever heard of Braze?
No, I would have already heard that.
Okay, so Braze is like. So there's two sliders in Michigan that you need to try that aren't White Castle.
Ooh.
Braze and Telway. Now, Telway isn't going to be
near
you.
Telway.
Telway's at Telegraph, but let's see. Braze probably is in Novi, though. Let's see. Braze Burger, Novi. Hot dog. You're going to Braze Burger. I'm going to tell you right where it's at. It's at Grand River and Grand River and Haggerty. Perfect. They got a Mercedes right across the street and an Arby's kitty corner to it. You won't miss it. But Braze Burger.
Okay.
Wait, they're lying to me. This is not a Braze Burger. This is some random. It must have used to been a Braze Burger. So.
Oh, that's disappointing. You had me hype.
I had me hype too. Well, anyway, I'll find you a Braze Burger, Zach. But anybody that's going in town, make sure you hit up a Braze. Make sure you hit up a Telway. Maybe a Buddy's Pizza, Jets possibly, Tubby Submarines, Mr. PETA, Coney Flippin' Island. I don't know how I'm going to do it, Zach, but I'm going to try to fit as many of those things in between Friday and Monday. It's not a lot of time, but I got a lot of room.
I got less time. I'm coming in super late Saturday. I'm leaving early Monday. So I got just over like 24 hours to do stuff, but that's okay. I'm in town. I get to watch the game with friends and family and possibly get to go to one of those places after the game for dinner. So, stuff's good. Stuff is good. And now I get to make the prediction for that game because I did pick out our games this week. Last week, as you saw, we split the games up. We're going to keep doing that throughout the year. He gets 2, I get 2. So
do you want to go over the picks last week? And see,
we'll go over them real quick.
Well, we don't have to say the games and the picks, but here's where I'm not too angry, Zach. This is how much of a Gamblers fan I am. 0-2, just like my boys, both 0-2. Zach, you, just like your boys, 2-0.
2-0.
2-0. So you know what? At least we have that going for us. It is what it is, but there ain't no shame in that game. We're gonna win. I'm gonna win the rest of this season out. Can't speak for you, Zach, but it looks like you have me for the first game up here. And boy, oh boy, did you give me a tough one. So
it is a tough one.
The battle of
tough.
the two undefeated teams, Birmingham Stallions at New Orleans Breakers, even though it's protective in Birmingham, 12:30 Eastern on USA. Man, oh man. Again, so this is where it comes down to with me. Are the Showboats maybe not so great, or are the Stallions that amazing? So I'm looking at last week's game, right? Because I have to use that kind of as a basis. Now the Breakers, they went toe-to-toe with Houston. Houston almost pulled it out. Houston had a tough go with your team. Your team pulled it out.
Yeah.
Are the Breakers that pull it out at the end team? Or are they playing teams that maybe don't have the oomph in them? So there's still a couple factors beyond that. Birmingham Stallions, maybe not as many, but still a good amount of injuries. Breakers, not so many injuries. And they have a quarterback that's willing to go out there and just through hell or high water, make it happen. But this is a tough one, Zach. This is a tough one here. But let's be honest, whatever I pick, we all know I'm probably going to be wrong. So I'm going to piss off the opposite fan of somebody here today because they're going to be like, why did you pick my team, ref? You're going to make us lose.
At least here's one factor you can at least attribute. This on the sheet says it's a Breakers home game, but let's be frank, this is a Stallions home game. And we know this because they even advertise on the posters that it is a Stallions, that you are going to see Stallions at Protective. So, only caveat, it is earlier. So folks going to church, hope to see you after church and attending a game. I'd say it's a great way to enjoy your Sunday rest. But yeah, tough game because these two have been, at least the Breakers for sure, Vontae Diggs and Gerard Fernandez marked it in our spring stock interviews that they have this one on their radar.
Yep.
These two matchups after last year's three, they this is personal for them. They want blood.
100%.
They want a revenge game here.
Oh man, this is going to be a tough one. But you know what? Never give up, never say die. I'm going blue wave on this one. I am going to go the Breakers. I think they're going to pull it out. And this is tough because I'll be honest, I've been thinking about this one all day because this is maybe one of my games of the week. We'll get into probably what my game of the week is. I think it's probably your game of the week. But other than that, this game is going to be, it's going to be telling for all the reasons I talked about before. Are the Stallions continuing their amazing streak from last year, or have they gotten lucky with their opponents so far? Breakers, same point, right? Now, who's beat up more? The Stallions. But, they just came off of, last week, you wouldn't even know that there was any injuries going on in the team. Coach Holtz seems to have the mind reader with his teammates. Like anytime, if they make any little mistake, he brings them off to the side. He has that adjustment conversation with them. And you know what happens? Good things generally happen after you talk to Skip Holtz, which one thing I need to mention real quick, because this was a nugget from before the game last week. Our man, Luke Miller, newsroom crew, was at the game live filming out on the field when the teams came out of the gate, and it just showed you what a champ Skip Holtz is. Coach Holtz. Oh,
yeah, this is a great moment. I'm glad you brought this up before the end of the show.
Right, so they had the Stallions, the horse come out, the stallion, I don't know what would it be a cowgirl hat or still a cowboy hat? I don't know. A cowgirl hat.
It's cowgirl hat.
Falls off the rider. I don't know what the right term is because rider seems wrong, but whatever. You visualize it. Riding, hat flies off. Coach Holtz, without skipping a beat, running out with his team, grabs the hat and keeps running. Sign him up. Zach, how much he's got so much to think about. He's got a battle of his lifetime coming up. Maybe not as much of a battle as maybe anticipated, but he's got a game to think about. No, he's a man of the people. He picked up that hat. He secured it. Now, you know what I would say? I wouldn't even be mad at him if he kept it for himself and wore it out there while he was coaching. I wouldn't be mad at it. I would have a different take on it. But I wouldn't be mad at it. But sign him up. I had to call it out.
I'm hoping by the end of the year, whatever the situation is, whether if they go all the way, if they lose in the playoffs, or if they don't make the playoffs, but that to me is less likely at this point, in my opinion. But I want to see him wear a cowboy hat and join like the guys with the cowboy hats from Section 104 for the Horsemen, because that posse is growing bigger with the cowboy hats and all that. I want to see him get in a photo op with those guys at the end of the season. What a classy gentleman as always, though, from Skip Holtz. It's just, I agree with you. Like Luke posted that was a really fun moment. And, I think a lot of people would just pass up. We got football to worry about, but hey, hat falls off. Go grab the hat. It's a nice hat. Don't ruin the hat.
Yeah, don't ruin the hat.
You still got the boys in blue though.
Yep,
pulling off the quote unquote home win.
The first Breakers win over the Stallions coming up, at least since the new USFL. Book it.
Okay. Well, my turn to talk about a game. Memphis Showboats going to the Houston Gamblers. This is at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. They've been advertising this for a Showboats game locally. 901 hats are being given out, by the way. So first 5,000 in attendance get a Memphis Showboats hat with the gradient 901 stitched into the side. That's the area code of Memphis, if you haven't caught on. Nice little gift, of course, for many of the other giveaways this year. Much of what we talked about with Memphis, I think my questions for Memphis is this just one of those games, just have a bad night and you just got to wipe this thing away? Or is this what Memphis really is? Because Houston, week 1, they were in control until the second half. Week 2, they were in control until Kenji Bahar got a little skittish and threw a few interceptions. That is a team that will beat teams that have a poor structure and poor game plan. Todd Haley needs to correct some things and right the ship, pun intended, to get this going, because you need to get a win under your belt. Both these teams are 0-2. It's going to be a tough playoff race for whoever is that second position in the South, and you got to get your wins early. And I don't know if the Showboats are indeed going to be able to beat Houston. I liked what Houston's doing. I liked the improvement last week. Kenji Bahar is what I think many Gamblers fans thought he was going to be to begin the season, advertised sans interceptions. And if he can just chill out, focus in on the guys that he knows will get him targets. Isaiah Zuber's back. You're going to have Justin Hall, who has become a de facto number 1 on this roster. And you're going to have Mark Thompson to lean on the run even more so this week. I think they pull out the win in Memphis. I think they get their first win under the belt. And it starts off to what I think is a good team, or at least a scrappy team, that I think will be in a lot more games this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
Maybe even turn the tide at the end more so than last year. We'll see.
I'll tell you this, Zach. I'm feeling good this week. I felt good the last 2 weeks, but I'm feeling especially good this week. But I'm never fooled. I mean, let's just rewind last year. There was a game that I thought for sure we would win. That was against the dang Pittsburgh Maulers. And you know what happened, Zach?
I remember that one.
We flipping lost that game. And then we went on to beat the Stallions. So, hey, you know what? Sign us up. That's just what you do when you're one of those weird teams like that.
That one was a legendary finish for many good reasons that are not on your end of your fandom.
Right.
Just to put it out there. Mm-hmm. All right, next game up, my friend, your second one. And it is the first of the 2 that you get with that Detroit ticket.
Oh, yeah. Maulers and Stars, 12 p.m. Eastern, NBC. Like we said, at Ford Field, the beginning of that doubleheader. The Stars are beaten up. The line can't protect the quarterback. But then you're facing a team that seemingly has minimal offense, but good defense. This game could have everything in it. This game has the potential to be one of those goofy special teams games. I could maybe even see, dare I say, some desperation plays trying to get that first win on the season, maybe going after some of the Stars' weaknesses. Maybe we'll see. At the end of the day, though, I think Philly's pulling this one out. I really think that, it's maybe similar to how we saw the Maulers and the Generals last week. I could see the first half of this game being generally low scoring. I don't want to say calm or slow, but low scoring, because I could see defense come into play on the Maulers side to kind of stifle the Stars, maybe break through that line so Case doesn't really have the time, maybe gets frustrated out there. But at the same time, I don't think we're going to see the Maulers offense maybe execute the way that they need to get to capitalize on it.
Right.
Now, I think once we get into the second half, there'll be some adjustments. I think sooner or later, the Stars are going to score. I honestly, I think they'll probably take at least a 2-possession lead in this game and win it out. But I think it could be similar to that Generals game where we have that lower scoring first half before the coaches can figure out how do we really work against this Maulers defense. And once they do, then they can run away with it. But I'll say this, if the Maulers can, like you said earlier, Zach, get that offense just moving a little bit, just get some connections going, get them down the field. I mean, we see glimpses of it. That's the part that kills me, Zach. I see glimpses of the Maulers being great, right? There's that pass at the end of the first game. He didn't connect with his receiver, but that was a hell of a pass down the field. And it wasn't the quarterback's fault that it didn't get caught. So they're close. They're close. I just don't think they're there yet. I don't think they're ready to beat a team like the Stars. Do I think the Stars are maybe as unstoppable in certain instances as they were last year? Maybe not so much yet. I think they have a little bit more to prove to me, but I don't think the Maulers are going to be that team. So book it. I'm going to go Stars this week. And you know what? I'm fairly at least confident that I'm going to get one of my 2 picks. So we'll hopefully things are going. But I'm curious, Zach, what are your thoughts on this game before we move on to the last one?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I look at this one, and it's a lot of it comes down to Pittsburgh. I really think John Tomlinson has a task on his hands to pick a quarterback and to find a way to make that quarterback in particular comfortable out of the gate. And I think that comes down to him and Ray Horton getting an understanding of what they want this offense to be. I think this is one of those that you get quick timing, easy reads, get stuff moving out of the gate. You know, maybe if you can refocus on getting core run principles down, because again, Philadelphia, that is their weakness. That has been their weakness for, I cannot stress enough. They have not been able to solve the running equation on defense. Pittsburgh does have the assets to take advantage of that if they want. If you can run and if you can get the defense on its toes and start playing a little bit, getting creative. If you say you load the box and you do a play action of loading the box and they all bite, there's opportunities to get the pass game going after that. You have to get the run game going early in this one, and you have to stifle Philadelphia and get Case Cookus knocked around early to get him off his game. Otherwise, he will find ways to shred you if you don't get pressure. So it's all in Philadelphia's court, or in Pittsburgh's court. I think Philadelphia, this is a game that's winnable for them. Pittsburgh needs to get adjustments down that have been plaguing them since last season. And it all starts, to me, by picking a QB. And to me, you go with Troy Williams. He's more mobile. He's able to adjust to some deficiencies in the line a bit better than James Morgan from what I've seen. And I think that that's going to give you the best chance to win. You have to start with a run first play style and then get him in a rhythm.
100%. One game left for the week, and it's the big one, Zach.
Yes, it is. And we'll give a few notes here as to some people that are going to be at this game. It's going to be a party. They really are celebrating it they've been saying 40 years in the making. That has been on multiple USFL accounts, whether it's the comms, whether it's the main one. It is a celebration of a 40-year return of a championship team, which is 40 years since the Panthers won that 1983 championship, the first one in USFL history over the Philadelphia Stars. We were wondering if it might happen where that first home game would be those two. It didn't. That's okay. Nonetheless, though, going to be a hell of an event against the Generals. Here's the leadoff. You got guys like Big E, famous WWE star himself. What tag team group was he with?
New Day.
Initially.
New Day. Big E.
There you go.
New Day.
Sign him up. I am not versed in the WWE sphere as much. I know he was in a tag team group like that. New Day. But yes, Big E is going to be the MC of the game. So you'll hear his voice throughout the entire arena, and he'll be that for the season. Actually, I believe it's not just the game. He's the season MC, like, for those. So that's going to be a ton of fun. Charles Woodson's going to be in the building as well. Obviously, Michigan alum himself, famous safety
Sign
himself,
him
Charles
up, dude.
Woodson. And then here's the one that really got, I think, a lot of us like, oh my God, what a smooth move here. Is the connection to the past. It's been 40 years. Who do you bring back from the team? I think that was going to be a thing people were wanting. Who's coming back? You know who's going to be in the building? The Cajun Cannon himself, Bobby Hebert, the MVP of the 83 championship game, is going to be back in the building for this home opener, which he announced on his own. He does a radio show, I believe in Arizona, actually, last I checked, which is kind of wild. I don't know if it's here, but he announced it on his show. He's going to be in person. He's going to be back, not at the same field, not the Silverdome, but he's at least in town. And that's really cool. That the city of Detroit, if there's one thing we have learned more and more, we've talked to people, the nostalgia for the Panthers does exist. It is real.
100%.
So having him back in the crowd, that's going to be so fun to see some of these old fans react to seeing him out on the field. Because I bet he gets a stint at either halftime or in one of the breaks where he's going to be out there and waving at the crowd.
100%. Because
getting things started.
He's the last quarterback to bring a football championship to the state of Michigan. Sign him up.
The extra icing on the cake, if they were to pull this off, is if Anthony Carter somehow was in attendance.
For sure.
I mean, getting Abear alone is incredible. Man, I hope Anthony Carter shows up later in the year, though, because that'll be so much fun. Like, last game of the season, he shows up. I'd be thrilled.
For sure. Dude, this game is going to be just through the roof. You know, it's going to be a good crowd. It's going to be a loud crowd. I can't wait to be there in person. And now we got just a little bit. It's like a star-studded event.
It is.
The past, the present, and then the future with the guys down on the field, man. You got to love it, dude. You got to flipping love it. Man, it's getting real. And I'm getting hungry just thinking about the good food that I'm going to eat out there. I'll tell you what.
I can't wait for that pizza at Brass Rail and a few other places that I hopefully get to stop. But before I can even get to that, I got to give you this pick. And I'll tell you, for a star-studded event, Michigan's going to have quite the one to hold up to. They get the Generals coming in, which again, New Jersey, 2 QB system, run heavy system. They haven't been able to figure out the pass options. They got a few more weapons back in. They got Jamon Moore back last week, who was a steady player for them out in the receiving core, made and contributed well, but they still haven't fully figured that out. But they got the run game down. That's for certain. And to me, I've looked through this indeed. Michigan, it's the best defense in the USFL right now. That's not a lie. That's proven fact statistically at this moment. They have been doing their due diligence. And yes, they did give up 257 passing yards last week to the Stars. But here's the thing. When you're getting in there and you are sacking or hitting a quarterback that often, in Case Cook is, that yardage doesn't matter. You're stalling drives. You're getting turnovers. That's the type of defense they're playing this year. Mike Nolan's bringing the heat. His guys are bringing the heat this season. It's looking like a true, is what you expect from a D coordinator coaching up a team. But the offense on the other side, Josh Love, talk about an acquisition last year off waiver wires. Michigan fans have to be thrilled that he's not in Pittsburgh right now, that he is their starting QB, because he has been slinging it. Joe Walker, when he's on, is on. Got to be on this time. There's no weather involved, so no worries about slippery hands. I think, to me, the Panthers, I think they walk away with this one, and here's why. They make the Generals one-dimensional. Because here's the thing. The Generals, their bread and butter is the run. Michigan's been pretty stout at stopping the run this season. They've only given up, it's only been 2 games, of course, but 98 yards was the max they've given up this year, and that was against Houston. And in that game, they were able just to stifle really both ends of the ball, only gave about just sub 200 yards total offense. I think you can maybe keep it to that number simply because if you slow down New Jersey, I don't trust the Generals to do an efficient passing game unless Mike Riley sticks with a quarterback. That's it. But even then, I don't know if the chemistry is there for either one of them right now to be able to beat Michigan.
Right.
I think the Panthers have more ways to beat you on the offensive side of the ball, and defensively, they're going to find a way to get pressure. Breland Speaks is the real deal at this level. And I think he's going to get at least another sack. He'll get halfway to double digits this week alone.
Yeah. It's going to be a powerhouse of a game. It's going to be one of those high octane games. I agree with you. I think the Panthers are pulling this out. I think they're going to pull it out. Dare I say convincingly? Dare I say? I think it'll be a fun day in Detroit. Oh, yeah.
And it'll be because later in the game, they'll pull away a little bit. Crowd's going to get rowdy. They're just going to be even more into it. And this will be week 1 of 4 straight games that they play in Detroit. Talk about a homestead. You start 2-0, and now you get 4 straight games where by over midseason, you can have easily established well, maybe not easily, but you can hopefully establish yourself at the top of the North by using that powerful home structure at Ford Field.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game regardless. And like you said, that 4-week stretch, it really is just a gift on a platter for any team. If you know, especially with a 10 week season, you already came in hot 2-0. Let's just say, even if you split the 4, that's 4-2 going into with only 4 games left in the season. You're over 500. That's a nice feeling. And I think, I would have, you know, I don't have the schedule memorized, but I have to look ahead. But yeah, the Generals, just from what I've seen so far, and the Panthers, what I've seen so far, I think the Panthers are going to pull away with it. It'll be good either way.
I think so too. New Jersey, he's got to prove me wrong, man, but I see a one-dimensional game coming to your doorstep, and I think Mike Nolan's going to make it that way. He's having fun at this level, it looks like. Definitely so. But hey, here we are. Week 3 is upon us. Motor City meetup coming up in just a few days after this recording. I can't wait to be in town. I am thrilled to get some pizza and beer, and I'm going to be wearing that sweet buttoned-up collar tee I got from Bill Alexander out in Memphis. That thing's going to be rocking. I hope it gets on camera because I'll be losing my mind. I'll probably have the voice gone come Monday.
That's good.
I probably will.
Good. I expect it. And if you don't, I'm going to shame you. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to be wearing this beautiful ref shirt. I do have a Panthers jersey, but it just feels like the ref shirt is the
you have to
thing.
do it. It's your brand, man. People, here's the thing, guys. Any of you listening, or some of you that know that you've seen him by now, some of you that are listening to this podcast identified him in Birmingham by just that hat and shirt combo.
Oh yeah,
it's his brand. It'd be weird if he didn't show up with it.
Well, you saw it in Memphis. I didn't wear it, and the everybody that came up to us, they were like, "Why aren't you wearing the ref shirt?" I was getting accosted for not wearing my ref shirt, which, you know what? I deserve it because I should have just put the ref shirt over my sweater like I would normally do, but I decided to be a little Heidi pants that day. They got me anyway. They got me anyway. So yeah, I'm going to have that ref shirt out. Zach, put it down, book the notes, trading cards. If you come and see us in town, we're going to have trading cards.
Yes.
We're going to have those signed up. So don't miss out. Motor City meetup. It's going to be a blast. But if you see us in the stadium, you know what? Sign us up. We'll give you a card there too.
I will not be running out of cards this time. I will not do the same thing again. And I know he won't let me do it because he's going to definitely make sure that I'm not doing that. I'm packing tomorrow. Like, we're recording. Tomorrow's packing. We're out the next day after that. So.
I got to pack after we record tonight. Oh my God. It's almost midnight. Oh,
I think that is a good cue to step away because I also have work in the morning.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. Soon enough. But until next time, everybody, hey, thanks for tuning in. Week 3 is going to be a blast. We're already in mid-season form. So much more is ahead. I can't wait to talk about the meetup next episode with all of you. And we got more interviews down the pipeline as well. By the way, we are going to be dropping those spring stock interviews separately moving into next week. I know some of you maybe don't want to skim through the entire 3-hour broadcast. No worries. This year, we're dropping all of them so you guys can check out the interviews as needed. Remember, we interviewed Jamar Smith, Bo Scarborough, Thaddeus Moss, McLeod Benthel Thompson, Vontae Diggs, and Gerard Fernandez. So you can check out all those interviews and all those takes from that week 1 session, and we'll be doing that moving forward. So watch out for those. Watch out for clips. Plenty more content coming your way. And yeah, much more of a season ahead too.
Ooh, yeah.
Good times. Until next time, everybody, catch you on the flip. Subscribe to this channel along with clicking the bell. Build yourself some morale. Follow us on at USFL Podcast on your favorite social platform, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And until next time, sign you up for our Week 4 edition right around the corner. See you at the Motor City Meetup, everybody, or online.